Galactic human beings. Can you tell us more what you mean by that, what it is for you, and what it felt like when you encountered those beings?
I love that you asked that question, because I feel that we're coming to a time when many, many people are beginning to experience that. What I'm talking about there, in terms of galactic genetics, galactic DNA, is that we are made of carbon atoms, as is our sun. So we're part of a solar system, and our solar system is a part of a galaxy. And that's where the word galactic comes from, that we are a part of a galaxy of many stars and planets and meteorites. And through our recognition of that, we begin to take on the possibility of faculties that we haven't touched. Imagine the possibility, and it is a true possibility, that there are other planets circling, orbiting suns. We have just discovered one that even has temperatures as do we. And so we are likely to find life in other ways, and that we might discover civilizations that are eons ahead of us. And from them, having that galactic link, we could learn how to manifest energy and protect our planet and prohibit diseases. Mm-hmm. We could learn so many things. And so it's part of my mission, let's say, to explore and converse with scientists and every man, to say, can you remember? Have you ever had a feeling that there was a being or a recognition beyond our human form that we could relate to? And so many people, scientists and doctors, and again, every man, and perhaps I should say, many, many children say, but I've seen these beings. Mm-hmm. And we want to help them to not be afraid, but to harvest them. What could we learn from them? And again, very fascinatingly, what could they get from us? And that's where the human heart comes in. Because we still have an emotional body. We are working on the power of love, and we're extending that out into the cosmos, and it's attracting galactic energies to us, so that we can learn to use a kind of intelligence that's sleeping inside us.
Let's say there's some human beings out there, you've been able to be in contact with them. What has allowed this, and why aren't we in communication with them right now? Are we not vibrating in the same way? Are we not ready for this? Are we experiencing something right now to be able to later? What is your view?
Yes, I think we are all ready, and that's why the film industry has been showing us mostly negative perspectives, but they've been dreaming it. Think of E.T. Mm-hmm. There are many points of reference for us to connect, and it's simply a matter of focus. It doesn't take anything fancy. Now, of course, I use the technology of consciousness to ask your own inner voice to show you. You never thought of actually asking to connect. What is my connection? Once you do that, it comes to you effortlessly. And it's happened to people in all walks of life from around the world. And so what I'm saying is, always be aware when there is that opportunity, so that you can harvest it. I think you might have read one of my experiences. I was a little bit afraid because I'd read a book about the Greys and how they would experiment on people, etc. Well, now I know something completely different about that. But I saw some that looked a little like the Greys because they had big eyes and they were small, and they came and they awakened me by touching my brain. And they were just saying, help us to align with human consciousness. And in my fear, yes, they were just saying, help us to align with human consciousness. But in my fear, I sent them away. You see, we have more power than we think. We think of ourselves as victims in our lives, that the beings from other planets or the government or our partners, somebody is always going to control us. It isn't true. When we discover the self, and that's the purpose of exploring our souls and our divine sacred energy, we recognize that nothing comes to us without some purpose. We are players. We are not victims. So it's a great opportunity now for us to really feel that inside ourselves.
People that want to connect, what is the question? Is there an appropriate time during the day?
Yes, I actually wrote a chapter on that in the book, The Evolution of God, to help people to see how to do it.
Good.
Of course, at the Light Institute, we guide people to do it. But it's really a matter of focusing your consciousness and saying yes. And as you do that, you begin to have experiences. And there are very many different kinds of experiences. They're not all just beings that look like us. I was given a very profound piece of information that changed my life, and I hope it's changed the lives of many people, in being taken into a ship, people that looked like us. They came from the Pleiades, and they said, people are dying in masses, and the earth is suffering, and we are going to teach you a technology to release people who lose their body, who die in earthquakes or die in violence, so that they don't hurt the earth. And they showed me how to release their souls, let's say, or their spirits from being entrapped by that shocking death. And that was a great teaching for me, so that if you have a family member that dies, you can help them to go into the light and not hold them back because you think that your love is suffering at their loss. They are free. They are not suffering. Only you are suffering because you don't understand cosmic laws. And so those galactic beings gave me that teaching, which I've been passing on for about 20 years now.
How did the ego, I mean, the ego plays a tricky role in all this, because I've guessed that through your research, you've access to some Goddy's, qualities. How do you stay grounded and humble as you are? How do you deal with that?
Our human experience helps us to do that. I go into nature to remember that you are one grain of sand that the universe could not do without, and you're nothing. And I think that as your consciousness expands, the ego begins to embrace being a part of it, rather than saying, I am special. No one is special. Everyone can do all this. Everyone has been given the mandate to practice performing miracles, healing others, loving others, poking through the veil. Once you actually have the experience of it, it moves from the mind-body to the soul level. And the ego can only track that by becoming ecstatic or moving away from the me section. And one of the ways that I learned that was actually taught by a guru, which just means teacher, who said something brilliant. He said, see God in each other. And I have used that. In other words, if I look at you and I see the galactic in you, or the angel, and you are a beautiful example of angelic energy, dear one. And when I see that in you, then I hold that. And as I hold that reflection of you, you and I begin to converse in more expanded levels. And when we put our energy on the other person, the ego is released from the separation, from the competition, from the I'm up here and you're there. And we begin to merge, we begin to fuse. And that's what makes life so delicious. And our human experience worth having. And after all, from my perspective, we have had it again and again and again. And we will continue to have it. Life is good.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for spending this time with us.
Oh, it's been my great joy.